Hi, welcome to another episode of the Genius Journal Paris Travel Podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about travel more, spend less, and master your budget for travel.
Many of you maybe ask how we do to travel that much, right, in a year. So, some of the things that we use is Google Flights, which is a website where you can search for many flights and the best deals for each one of them.
So basically how we try to put our schedule for the whole year is that we first pick the dates that we're going to travel. So we don't focus that much on places. We take more the approach of the dates. So let's say it's a holiday, or let's say it's a week that we're going to take on vacation. So we first take the whole year, segregate those dates, and from there we go to Google Flights, and then we search places. So for example, let's say it's 4th of July, which is a holiday here in the US. We go into that weekend, search in Google Flights like we're showing here in the screen, and then basically we look into the places that we want to go. If we're going to go international, we look into international. If we're going to go national, then we look into national. But basically we don't look that much into specific places. We look more into the dates, and with that then basically we save, because then we look for the cheapest flight. And that's the first tip that we're going to give you to basically travel efficiently, and then basically making sure that you don't spend a lot is basically pick those dates and make sure that you pick the cheapest place to go.
Yep, another thing that we take in consideration, it's the place where we're going to stay at. So we try to search like for Airbnbs, hotels. Good options many of the times are the hotels, because in the hotels, most of them, at least we use Hilton. So many of them, they have the breakfast included. So that's a less expense that we have during the trip. Another thing, it's maybe you can use Airbnbs, like if there's a group of more than maybe 4 or 5, that way, well, you can, like for example, if your stay is for $300, then you can divide it into everybody that it's gonna stay, and it's a less cheaper. And also try to look for a Airbnb that at least has a kitchen where you can maybe buy some stuff for the days you're gonna be, and you can prepare your own breakfast, and that way you can save money too.
Correct. Basically, also with the hotels, the good thing that you can do is that if you stay with one chain of hotels, like for example, Genesis mentioned Hilton, we use a lot Hilton, you will earn points, you can get rewards, you will have status, and that will help you in the future to basically bring your costs down. So if, for example, they give you snacks when you arrive and stuff like that, or you can have upgrades, you can have late checkout. So those are the type of stuff that are cool with hotels. But again, for big groups, it's a lot better to stay in Airbnb, because then you can split that amount into different families.
Another thing, all of us, obviously, when we travel to different places, we like to explore everything. We like, for example, if somebody says, oh, this place is really good, you need to eat there, you need to try it. Sometimes, we take that first, and we don't analyze more than that, because the places where, for example, if you go to Washington, let's say, as we did, and you go to a specific place where everybody says, oh, you gotta eat there, or maybe I'm not gonna talk about Washington, let's say Paris. Everybody says, oh, go up to the Eiffel Tower and go eat in the restaurant. Okay, fine, but for example, it can be it will be more expensive to basically eat inside the Eiffel Tower versus going into a local place that is maybe 5-10 minutes next to it, like we did, and we were eating, watching the Eiffel Tower from there. So it's not always like go to the tour, like where most of the tourists go, because sometimes that places are much they're
expensive.
Correct. They're much expensive than other places that can be local, like on streets too. You can, and you can take that more aspect of visiting a place and looking into the simple things,
Yeah.
not to the most visited or to the most expensive place. Just maybe take another aspect, which is maybe have the experience with the people that live there, see the environment and all that stuff that doesn't have an extra cost.
So basically, eat local. That's better than, and also avoid the tourist traps. So that's the best way to summarize into the eating part. If you're gonna go into restaurants, go into, let's say, one or two in the whole week. That, let's say you're gonna go into a week. Pick one or two that you like. It's your favorite type of food. It's a famous restaurant. Like, that's good. Like, you're allowed to do that.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, don't go every single day, because then you will have a lot of expenses. So take one or two that you prefer, and then go into places that locals eat, and then with that you will save a lot of money.
Correct. Another thing that we do is we verify, for example, if it's gonna be better to rent a car or to maybe take buses and public transportation in the place where you're gonna visit. Like for example, in the last time that we went to Europe, we didn't rent a car. The first time we did, but the second time we didn't. So we used the train, which is excellent. The only thing, maybe it's the thing of the strollers, but
so for the train and stuff like that, public transportation in all places, you just gotta learn how to use it. I feel more if you're gonna use or rent a car, try to go to suburb area, so not on the city. So just go into the outside. Like, let's say we went into UK, and then we drive from London to Manchester. We drove from Manchester to Liverpool and stuff like that. So you're gonna drive into 4 places, but also places that are not city, because then at the city, parking fees, you're gonna think a lot. Parking lots, like where they're located, where you're gonna put your park, and then maybe if you want to go into a different place, you gotta go back to your car, find another parking. So those are the type of things that are hard with rent a car in a city. Like, but if you're going into like countryside, then you can rent a car, because for sure that will be a lot better.
But make sure that if you're gonna use the train or if you're gonna use public transportation, have a Josian in your life, because if not, for example, me, I'm a mess at that.
Basically, you just need to understand how the system works. If we're at the stops, if they have an elevator, if they don't, then if you have a car seat or a stroller, basically you need to know those things. Also, if the bus, where are the best routes to get to your place. So you just gotta understand. Like, if you live in New York, for example, for sure you will have no issues going to Europe and understand the system. If you live in Miami like us, well, you may have, because we don't use public transportation a lot in Miami. I don't know, I'm just kind of good at those type of things. But at the end of the day, you just need to, before you get there, understand the system before you arrive.
Another thing is the activities you're gonna do during your trip. Try to avoid like really expensive stuff and enjoy the simple things. For example, when we went to Washington DC, we didn't knew it, but when we were doing the research, we noticed that, for example, visiting the White House, the Pentagon, the what else was?
FBI experience.
All of that.
You go to U.S. Capitol. You have the Smithsonian museums. You have I think it's about 100 plus places that are basically free. So basically, you just need to take your reservation if needed. Most of them you need a reservation prior you arrive. Some of them you don't. So you just research again. What do you like? Do you like museums? Do you like history of humanity? Do you like history of aviation? Do you like the politics, like the Capitol? So those type of things, you look into what do you like, and then with that you set up a schedule. Something that we are experiencing or just learning with most of the traveling is that even though you have a schedule, since we have infants, one has 1 year, the other one has 2, basically not everything's gonna go like you want on the schedule. So let's say you want to visit 3 museums. In the whole 3, maybe you're going to visit 1. You will have a full week and you want to visit 6 different places. Maybe you're going to visit all, but maybe you're going to visit 3. So, but the thing is that enjoy your time with your kids. At the end of the day, I know traveling, a lot of people is going to tell you, well, they won't remember what are you doing. They won't remember this. They won't remember that. Well,
But you will.
You will, and at the end, you will take that with you. So at the end of the day, just take those moments, have 5 minutes in the playground with them, in outside. They can run through the yards. Like at the end of the day, that's more important than the whole schedule. So just keep that in mind to make sure that you enjoy your trip with your kids. It doesn't matter if your schedule it's 100% completed or 80% or 20%. At the end of the day, you have that time with your little ones.
Correct. And another thing that we use that it's been useful for us to travel is the American Express Platinum. This card has been amazing for us. It has a lot of travel points. It gives you a lot of benefits. Really, a lot of benefits. For example, in the airport, you can go into the lounge, whichever. You know that, like the American Express one. For example, if you're traveling by Delta, you can use the Delta lounge too with this credit card. And I think you have another person, right?
Yeah, you have two complimentary guests with the card. If, as Genesis mentioned, if you're traveling with Delta, you can use either Centurion Lounge, which most of the time is at American Airlines Terminal. You can use the Delta ones, and you can use Priority Pass. The card is expensive. If you think on the annual fee, it's like $700, and if you have another user, will be about 125 more, something like that. But at the end of the day, they give you a lot of perks. You have global entry free or every 5 years, so they will reimburse that money back. You have different types,
Clear.
like you have Clear, you have Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN, you have Walmart.
Plus.
So you have a lot of perks that basically it will pay for itself. The thing is that you gotta use it. Like if you pay the annual fee and you don't use any of the perks, technically then don't take the card. So you gotta read what you have, know your rewards, and at the end of the day, if you use most of them, I would say 60% of them, you will get your money back easily.
Correct.
So, and if you travel a lot, like us, and more specifically because my work requires to travel a lot, so I use a lot the lounge and stuff like that. So you will get your money back very easy. So it's a great card. We also have the Chase Sapphire, but not the Reserve, just the Preferred, which is very good too for points only.
For points, correct.
It doesn't have a big annual fee. I think it's $95.
$95.
So it's $95. That one is good for points. So if you're gonna use it for everything, and remember to pay your statement at the end of the month, because if not, your interest will go a lot high. But at the end of the day, if you follow the simple basic money management instructions, you will take a lot of perks with this type of credit card. So both of them are a great option.
Another thing that we make sure is to avoid unnecessary fees. For example, with this credit card, if you go to international places, you don't have foreign fees. So that's a good perk too. Another thing is that, for example, if we go to Europe and let's say we're traveling together, obviously we don't pay extra, for example, for our phone. You know that if you go international and you don't have that plan, you need to pay extra for the minutes. I think it's by minute that you pay. Not really sure, or by day. I don't know, but it's it's an extra cost, like and sometimes can be really high, because maybe sometimes, for example, if you have it, you go into the internet, you use it a lot, or you use the phone a lot, or whatever. So what we do in this case, as we usually, when we travel together, obviously, we just put the airplane mode, and whenever we have internet, we let know our loved ones, that we're okay, that everything is okay, that everything is good. And that's all, because Josian and I are together, the babies are with us, so we have extra family, but the most close, we are all together. So we just, when we have the chance, we call my mom, his mom, and let know that that we're okay, and that's all.
And we have a phone that we buy a SIM card when we arrive to local places. We try to get the cheapest option, basically the smallest plan that you have and that they have. That's for any emergencies, like if we need to do any calls in the on-site, or then if we need to transfer Wi-Fi to our phones. But we don't use it that much. It's like basically
and that's a good
emergency
option, I think, when you go like for a few days.
Correct.
You know, because if you're going from Friday to Sunday, well, they're not that much days. But for example, if you're going for a week, for 2 weeks, well, then maybe it's a great option, because then you have the accessibility to call everyone whenever you want, and you know you already paid for the SIM, and that's all. And you can use the internet, but just make sure that you have a good phone, because for example, we bought that phone around 2019, so right now it's not that fast and all that stuff. But those are another things.
Needs an upgrade. So, and also a part of the unnecessary fees is when you're traveling international, if you need to take foreign money. So let's say you're going to Europe, Mexico, you need that cash, because always you need it for any type of reason, tips, or you wanna buy something local.
Or you wanna have like the money you wanna spend,
correct,
and you don't wanna spend anymore.
Yeah, that's a good option for travel. Basically, how we do it is that we go to our bank. We use Chase Bank. Then basically you can go 1 week or 2 weeks earlier your trip. Just make sure that you go 1 week or prior. So you want to go a month before, that's fine, but just make sure it's 1 week ahead.
Just in case, because of everything.
Yeah, because it takes like 3 to 5 business days, I think, to process. But basically, you go there, you tell them how much you want to change into the country that you're going. You're gonna for Europe, or you're going to UK, because it's 2 different exchange. So basically, one is dollar pounds, and the other one is euros. So you go there, you tell them I want $500, 1,000 X amount, and they will change that into the exchange, and then that will save you money versus going into the airport or going into the place that you arrive and do that exchange. So just make sure that you work on that. That will be part of saving part of the money.
Correct. So as we mentioned before, remember to make your research. Use Google Flights; it's really good. Make sure to have a great space to stay, and obviously, as we explained before, the cheapest options, it will be better. Go to visit local stuff, so you don't have that much expense or higher expenses. Use travel perks like the American Express that we mentioned you, or whichever you have, whichever is better for you. What else?
Just a bonus tip that we forgot to mention. Make sure that when you're doing your travel plans, try to pay everything ahead. So let's say you have your flights, obviously you're gonna pay them when you buy them, but the hotel, try to pay it up front. If you're gonna rent a car, pay up front. If you're gonna do train, pay that up front. So have all those charges, the big ones paid. That basically when you go there, the only thing that you have is the food, and then anything that you're gonna do, like buy some gifts for your family, stuff like that. But try to pay everything ahead. With that, then basically your budget on site is gonna be just only those type of things, and you don't have to expend a lot. And then basically you don't have any upfront charges or anything.
Or you don't
surprise.
have everything together too.
You don't have everything
when you're
together.
going to go to the trip.
So yeah, that's basically all. Our next episode will be family travel paradise or pitfall. Is basically just show you how to know where to go with your kids. Not every country, unfortunately, is good place to be with kids, because again, they could get sick. You need good hospital resources. So you need a lot of stuff that we're gonna talk on the next episode. But make sure to follow us, subscribe, like, comment, and experiences. We're here to help you. So make sure you follow us.
Let us any comments if you want to know anything else. Thank you.
Bye bye.